If you're into cinematography at all, then there's a good chance you've heard the name Red before. They're the company behind the cameras used in films like Guardians of the Galaxy and The Hobbit, and now they're making their first smartphone, the Hydrogen One. So this phone is anything but conventional. It's a massive, heavy slab of aluminum and Kevlar with these crazy ridges along the sides to make it easier to hold. Even though I'm not really into huge phones these days, I love the way this hardware looks and feels because it's just so different from all the delicate glass phones on store shelves. It's kind of a badass design, and I really appreciate the little touches like the fingerprint sensor being built into the power button, the dedicated shutter key, and even the toolless SIM tray, which also holds a microSD slot. It's not all positive. There's no wireless charging, of course, since the phone is made of metal, and more importantly, there's no water resistance rating. These are features that the typical consumer would expect from any flagship phone these days, but Red isn't targeting the typical consumer. The Hydrogen One obviously isn't aiming to take on the Galaxies and iPhones of the world. Red has no delusions of this being the next phone in everybody's pocket. Instead, it's going after the same people that would recognize and appreciate the brand name in the first place, avid content creators that never want to be without a pro-grade camera. Red's cinema cameras are legendary for their color science and flexible RAW codecs, but they're also known for being modular. You start with the brain, which houses the sensor and handles image processing, and add on whatever lens mounts, battery packs, and monitors best fit your needs. The Hydrogen One works the same way. You can use it on its own, of course, but Red's been teasing a handful of aftermarket modules that expand its capabilities from being just an expensive smartphone to a full-blown media machine. At least in theory. As far as when to expect those modules, 2019 is as specific as Red's willing to get, so for now we have to look at the Hydrogen One as a standalone product. And for as ambitious as it is, it still feels a lot more like a prototype than a finished product that anyone should actually buy. The big headline feature for the Hydrogen One is its holographic display, which uses a specialized layer underneath the 5.5-inch screen to create what Red calls 4View, essentially a souped-up continuation of glasses-free 3D tech. Watching 4V movies from the Hydrogen network put a ton of strain on my eyes, and none of it looks as clear or sharp as the 2D alternatives. It's sort of like using an old 3DS back before Nintendo dramatically improved image quality with the new 3DS. If you do happen to like the 4V mode though, you can shoot your own content with the Hydrogen One's dual front and rear cameras. It's pretty fun to mess with, even though it's basically impossible to show on camera, and the phone saves a 2D copy of every photo and video so you can still share to Instagram and Twitter. But Red also has its own network called HoloPix for sharing and discovering 4V photos. As far as 2D capture goes, the Hydrogen One does a pretty good job with nice warm and natural colors and impressive low-light performance, but it doesn't really do anything to stand out against phones like the Pixel 3 or Mate 20 Pro, at least not until that lens mount module ships sometime next year, and the camera app offers basically no controls yet. Even switching to manual mode just gives me control over ISO and shutter speed, no manual focus pulling or log color profiles like you might expect. That should be changing soon though. Red says there's a pro camera mode on the way, and at the moment the Hydrogen One is still running pre-release software. That's pretty apparent when you use the phone. It's full of bugs and app crashes, and the default launcher is just so choppy. But in gaming, which you can do in 4V with some titles like Asphalt 8, it runs pretty smoothly despite an older Snapdragon 835 chipset, so performance can probably be worked out with a software update. At least I hope so, because despite all of its promise, the Hydrogen One just isn't a very good phone right now, and that's before even factoring in that Red wants $1,300 for it. For that kind of money, you could buy literally any other flagship phone you wanted and probably be better off. Look, I love that Red isn't playing it safe with its first phone, and there's all kinds of untapped potential with the Hydrogen One's upcoming modules. But maybe wait until those are out before you decide to buy one of these, or just get a mirrorless camera and call it a day. Thanks for watching everyone, and make sure to check out AndroidCentral.com for our full review on the Hydrogen One, where we go into a lot more detail. There's still plenty more to talk about with this phone. As always, be sure to subscribe on your way out, and we'll catch you next time.